Afternoon, guys. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, back in our mini-series on essential travel items. And we talked about the first 5 essential items to have whenever you travel in the first video of this series. And again, I'm not speaking to the things that are a given, your passport, your ID, money, although we did cover a couple of those things and how to circumvent losing them in the first video. Clothing. Obviously, you should have a spare set of clothing with you in your carry-on if it's not your only bag. In case you have something under the plane that gets lost, you don't want all of your clothing to get lost and have nothing to show for it when you get to the other end and have to try to find clothing to buy until you can recover your luggage, or wear the same clothes every day until they find your luggage. So we covered those first 5 items, and a couple of them were just kind of tricks of the trade, I guess it would be. Like I said, I traveled extensively this year and last year, so I've learned a lot of things along the way. So let's get back into it here with these last 5 items. We'll start off real easy. One of the first 5 items was a multiple or multinational plug-in that would plug into whatever outlet you were overseas and give you 4 USB ports on the other side to be able to plug devices in for charging and things like that. Once you have that licked, you need a charging brick. And I use this Anchor, and I think this was a 20,000 milliamp Anchor, and I've got the cord for it here. Obviously, cords for this stuff are a given. I also have a half brick that I carry that will actually plug directly into a US socket. So I take that with me when I'm traveling to the US. When I'm traveling abroad, I only take the single brick. But this big Anchor brick right here is worth its weight in gold to me. It will charge my phone several times, 5, 6 times on a full charge. So it works really, really well. So that is number 6. And again, these aren't really necessarily any specific order of importance. These are just 10 items you should have with you. The next one is you need to have a way to repair or mend things, especially at the other end. But sometimes even while you're traveling, you rip a piece of clothing, you tear up a bag, a strap breaks, something comes off, a button comes off, and you want to fix it. So you need some kind of a small repair kit. And for me, this Rip Spool by Exotac really kind of fills that bill really well because A, it's a self-contained small unit that's made out of like aircraft aluminum, so it doesn't weigh a lot. It has duct tape, like 2-inch duct tape wrapped around it. I don't know how many feet are on here, but there are several feet of this 2-inch duct tape, which, as we know from other videos past, is an excellent repair tape for lots and lots of things. And then it also has a spool at the bottom where it unscrews from the housing that has spider wire on it that can be used for thread. It also has a needle on the inside that is small enough to be used for a sewing needle to repair your gear, and 2 safety pins inside. So it makes a very good self-contained repair kit that doesn't take up a lot of room. You can throw it anywhere and just stash it there. But when you need to fix or repair something, you have that option. And I think one of the important aspects of this carrying these things and these particular items with you is they may be difficult to find right away at the other end if you don't have them. So something like a sewing kit may be a walk to find something like that, if you can find something like that. You might have to find a hardware store or some type of drugstore that has a sewing kit or has duct tape to make these repairs. Carrying this simplifies that altogether. I'm going to save the last one, this one here, for last. The next one I would say is always have a buff. Doesn't matter what the buff looks like, always have a buff. This thing can be used for so many different things. You can twist it around and you can use it as a hat if you want to, as a skull cap. You can use it as a scarf. You can use it as a mask in foul air and things like that. You can put it over your head and eyes when you're on the plane so that you can sleep. Unless you are traveling in an upper class on an overseas flight, they're not going to provide you with a sleep mask. This will take care of that, no problem. And it also gives you something that you can wipe your face off, wipe your hands with if you need to, that you can use as kind of a wash rag device in like the bathroom in an airport or the bathroom on a plane if you're just trying to freshen up. And then on the other end, of course, it's hugely useful for a piece of clothing at the same time. Headband, hat, all those things. Okay, a Smock. Obviously, to me, this is a no-brainer. I have one of these with me every day as an EDC, almost no matter what pack I'm carrying or what I'm doing. But the reason this thing is so good on like an airplane or while traveling with one bag or relying on the bag you have on the plane is that it can be used as a towel in the interim to wash off with. You've used this for a wash rag. You use this to dry off with. You can use this for a lightweight blanket if you need to on a plane, if you start to get cold when you're traveling and trying to sleep. You can put it completely over your head, especially if it's a dark color like this, and it will block out most of the cabin light. If you don't have this over your eyes, you don't feel comfortable with something like that, you can do this and just cover up your head with it. It also can be wrapped around the back of your neck and rolled up several times to be used as one of those horseshoe type things that's kind of like a pillow that you buy for $20 in the freaking airport. If you carry this thing in, you've already got it with you. It's very easy just to roll this thing up, put it right behind your head, and you initially have the exact same thing. And you can also fold this thing up if you happen to get a window seat, and you can use it for a pillow to lay your head against the side of the plane without, having your face against that hard plastic. So there's lots and lots of great reasons to carry this thing as well. So that takes care of the first four. Now, the last one is what I would call travel meds, travel medications, okay? And there's really 10 things that need to be in this pouch. So I'm going to take you over to the board so we can go over them one at a time. But you can buy just packets of different things. You don't want any liquids in here whatsoever because liquids are controlled through TSA. So everything in there should be in tablet or wipe form so that it can be disposed of easily and doesn't have to be pulled out of your bag when you're going through TSA like any liquids would have to be, and it doesn't count against your liquid allowance in TSA either. But this will give you a lot of medications that you may not be able to get right away on the other end or at all during flight. Stay with me and we'll move over to the whiteboard. Okay, so I've got a list of these 10 items that should be in that travel medication bag. And I've got some name brands on here just to kind of get you familiarized with what I'm talking about. But there's lots of name brands that you could use in place of these if you wanted to. So the first one is an anti-diarrheal. Traveler's diarrhea is a very real thing. Some Imodium will take care of that. You want to keep that handy. Mild laxative. On the other hand, if you're not eating the same foods that you're used to eating, sometimes you can get bound up. So you need some type of laxative. Bucolax is a good bet for that. A mild pain reliever, Tylenol. Always a good bet. Antihistamines like Benadryl. There's a couple benefits to this, okay, with the antihistamine, with the Benadryl. Number one is if you start to have some type of allergic reaction or you get bit by an insect or something and you've got a lot of itches or you get into a plant that causes some kind of a rash, antihistamine will help take away that itch. The side benefit of antihistamine is a lot of countries or some countries will not let you bring things into the country like melatonins. Antihistamines have that secondary nature of putting you to sleep. So if you're looking for some kind of a sleep aid, the antihistamine is kind of a double duty deal there. Cold symptom medications like Sudafed. Obviously there's no, I try not to put cold medicine on here because colds are not something you can just cure. It's a virus that your body has to fight off and it just has to kind of run its course. So we take things to cover or mask those symptoms to make us feel better. Something like Sudafed will work for that, okay? Motion sickness, Dramamine. I don't get motion sick, never have. My wife does. And this is not only for planes, also for things like boats. You just never know when you're going to hit a lot of chop in a boat, on a cruise, on a ferry, something like that. And the boat's going to do a lot of rocking, and all of a sudden you've never got seasick before, and you do. You want that Dramamine. Electrolyte tabs go to if you have diarrhea, if you have a stomach upset and you're vomiting, you want to make sure that you can get electrolytes back into your body. Antibacterial wipes. I would say here to carry some type of a antiseptic or first aid cream like a triple antibiotic ointment. But again, that counts against your liquid allowance. So antibacterial wipes that you can use and toss are going to be your best bet. Upset stomach and indigestion medicine, antacids, things like Pepto-Bismol are always a good bet for that. So you have 10 types of items here that can all be obtained in small packets of individual doses per se. And you can put 2 or 3 or 4 of these, depending on what you think you're more susceptible to. You know, if I knew that I got motion sickness, I would probably have, you know, I'd double up on the Dramamine for sure. If I knew that I was susceptible to things like diarrhea from changes in diet, I would double up on the Imodium. But you can decide how many of each of these you want. For me, I would say, you know, 2 to 4 of each one of these in that small kit is probably more than enough. Antibacterial wipes, you may throw in 4 to 6. And other than that, these should get you through some minor things until you can either get to a doctor if that's what you need to do, or get to an urgent care facility, or find some type of medication on the other end. So this is a critical thing to carry in your top 10 travel essentials. All right, guys, well, I appreciate you joining for the second part of our video series on 10 travel essentials. I thank you for your views. I thank you for your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.